It was late in the evening when I received the email. It wasn't a normal one, not the kind you'd expect on a typical workday or a casual Saturday. No, this one had the subject line, Financial Hardship Application Approved. I froze, staring at the words. My heart pounded a little faster, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, unsure of what to do next. The email detailed an application for a financial hardship program in my name. Approved. Funds had already been dispersed. And then, as I scrolled down, I noticed the funds weren't going to my account. They were sent to a different bank, one I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. Something wasn't right. I quickly opened a new tab, searched the account number, and then the name of the company linked to it. And there it was, Lucas Enterprises. The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Lucas, my brother, had a shell company, one that he boasted about at family gatherings. He always talked about it like it was just another part of his business empire, but I never asked too many questions. Now I wish I had. I spent the next few hours digging, trying to piece together the puzzle, my mind racing. And then I found it. The family home, the house I had helped pay off, the one where we had grown up, had been quietly refinanced. The deed? Not in our family name anymore. It was under the name of Lucas Enterprises. I sat back, staring at the screen, feeling the weight of the discovery settle over me like a thick, suffocating blanket. How had I not seen it? How had my parents not seen it? I needed answers. My head spun as I grabbed my phone, dialing Lucas's number. The phone rang once, twice before he picked up. Hey, Alara, what's up? His voice was too calm. It always was, like he had nothing to worry about. Why the hell did you refinance the house behind my back? I couldn't keep the anger from spilling out. And why did you take money from a hardship program in my name? There was silence on the other end, then a heavy sigh. Relax, Alara. It's just business. You wouldn't understand. Business? My voice cracked with disbelief. You've put our home, the one I helped pay off, in your company's name. What the hell kind of business is this? Don't worry about it, okay? Everything's fine. It's just a financial move, nothing personal. We're family. You don't need to get involved in this stuff. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. You think this isn't personal? You've been stealing from me and our family for who knows how long, and now you're telling me to not worry? You don't get it. It's just business, Lucas repeated, his tone cold and dismissive. I hung up without saying another word. The room felt too quiet, too still. I sat there, staring at the screen, unable to move. It wasn't just the money, it was everything. The trust I had in him, in my family, was shattered in an instant. This was something deeper. It was a betrayal that went beyond financial deceit. This was about control, manipulation, and I had been blind to it. I stood up and walked toward the guest room, my body heavy with the weight of the realization. Everything had changed, and I wasn't sure I could ever go back to the way things were before. I sat on the bed, my mind racing, trying to make sense of it all. The betrayal, the lies, the way he had silently slipped away with everything. It wasn't just money. It was a fracture in everything I thought I knew about my family. And in that silence, in that dark guest room, I made a decision. I was going to find out everything, no matter the cost, no matter how dangerous it got. But first, I had to figure out just how deep this went. The email came 2 days later. At first, I thought it was another scam, some kind of phishing attempt, just another thing to ignore. But as I skimmed the subject line, my stomach dropped. It wasn't from a random address, it was from Lucas's lawyer. I clicked it open. Dear Miss Merritt, we are writing to inform you that our client, Lucas Merritt, has filed a lawsuit against you for financial misconduct, emotional distress, and manipulation of family assets for personal gain. We demand your immediate response to the claims outlined below. Please consult with your legal representation at once. I stared at the screen for a long time, as though the words were written in a foreign language. Financial misconduct, emotional distress, manipulation of assets. All the things I had accused him of. Yet now they were being thrown back at me. I felt my chest tighten as I clicked through the rest of the email. Each page was filled with legal jargon and accusations, each more absurd than the last. Lucas was painting me as the villain, someone who had manipulated our parents and our family's money for personal gain. It was the kind of thing I would have expected from a soap opera. But it was happening to me. To me. The anger that bubbled inside me twisted into something darker, something colder. I slammed my laptop shut and took a deep breath, trying to calm myself, but it didn't work. I could feel the walls closing in. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from an unknown number. I hope you're prepared for what's coming. You won't win. You never could. The message was unsigned, but I knew who it was from. The chilling reminder that this was just the beginning hit me harder than the email. I needed to get ahead of this. I couldn't let Lucas paint me as the bad guy, not after everything I had uncovered. He had the upper hand now. He had the lawyers, the reputation, and the support of our parents. The court of public opinion was already turning against me, but I wasn't going to sit back and let him destroy me. I spent the next few hours pacing around my apartment, my mind racing. Should I hire a lawyer? Should I fight back publicly? Should I play it safe and lie low? But I knew deep down there was only one way to make it through this. I needed to find out exactly what Lucas had been hiding. I couldn't just rely on legal defenses or hope that someone would believe me. I needed the truth. That night, I stayed up late, poring over the papers I'd found earlier, bank statements, the deed to the house, everything I could trace back to him. I started connecting the dots, following the money trail, and it didn't take long before I found something bigger than I expected. Lucas wasn't just running a shell company. He had been siphoning money through multiple fraudulent accounts, all linked to the same international operation. I traced some of the payments to an overseas account, and that's when everything shifted. It was all tied to something far more dangerous than just a family dispute. As I stared at the glowing screen, I could feel the weight of the decision I was about to make. I could confront Lucas now, lay it all out and risk everything. Or I could dig deeper, let the investigation unfold and find out what he was really involved in. But even as the words, "I'm coming for you," formed in my mind, I knew I couldn't trust anyone, not even my family. I clicked on the phone number of an old contact from my military days. She would know what to do. She always did. "Anna," I said when she picked up, "I need help." "What's going on?" Her voice was sharp, alert. "It's Lucas. It's worse than I thought. I need you to help me expose him, all of it." "Everything." A long pause on the other end. "Are you sure you want to do this, Alara? You know the risks?" "I'm not backing down," I said, the certainty in my voice surprising even me. "I have to know the truth no matter what it costs." "All right, I'll help, but be careful. Once we start digging, we're in it for real." "I know." The next morning, I woke up with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in weeks. The lawsuit was only the beginning, and I had no intention of letting it be the end of me. Lucas thought he could bury me with lies and accusations. But I was about to show him that I wasn't the one who should be worried. By the time I met Anna later that week, I had a plan. It was risky, it was dangerous, and it was exactly what Lucas deserved. And just like that, I was no longer the victim. I was the one calling the shots. The sun was barely up, but I was already at my desk, surrounded by stacks of paper and open tabs on my laptop. The house still felt too empty, too quiet, but the silence helped me think. For the first time in days, I wasn't panicking. I was focused, laser focused. Anna had come through. She sent over encrypted files, financial statements, shell company registration documents, anything I could use to track Lucas's every move. It was more than I expected, and as I sifted through it, my mind raced. It wasn't just the company. Lucas's fingerprints were all over this. Money funneled through accounts in other names, offshore companies, fraudulent invoices that led to accounts connected to international players I didn't fully understand yet. I'd been too distracted by the family drama to notice how deep he'd gone into this mess. But now, seeing it laid out before me, I couldn't believe how far he'd taken it. I scrolled through a series of transactions when a name caught my eye. Blackstone Logistics. I'd never heard of it before, but from what I could tell, it was a shell company. One that didn't actually have any employees or assets, yet was moving large amounts of money across borders. I dug deeper, pulling up more records from offshore banks, and then it hit me. This wasn't just about scamming a few extra bucks. This was part of something much bigger. I narrowed my eyes at the screen. The name Blackstone was connected to a handful of payments, all linked to global arms dealing and cybercrime networks. My stomach churned. This wasn't just family betrayal. This was national security at risk. I didn't have all the answers yet, but I could see the strings starting to unravel. Lucas was knee-deep in an international criminal enterprise, one that was operating under the radar of every major law enforcement agency. And here I was, sitting at my kitchen table, trying to make sense of it all. I felt my phone buzz on the counter and reached for it without thinking. Anna's name flashed on the screen. "What did you find?" I asked, not bothering with pleasantries. I knew she'd been running her own investigation in parallel. I'm looking at the same records you are, Anna said, her voice steady, calm. This is bad, Alara, really bad. Blackstone Logistics, right? It's tied to several known international syndicates, arms dealers, hackers, you name it. If Lucas is involved with them, then it's bigger than just him, I finished for her. I know, I'm seeing the same thing. He's not just stealing from our family, he's laundering money, running criminal operations, and he's been using his own family to cover it up. We have to move fast, Anna said. If we go public with this, we'll be putting ourselves in direct danger, but we can't let him keep getting away with it. Do you want to expose him? I didn't even have to think about it. I'm already in this. I need him to pay for everything he's done. But I need to make sure we've got everything we need before we make a move. I'll find a way to prove it, but I need more information. All right, I'll pull whatever I can from my contacts. We'll get the evidence we need to expose him. As I hung up the phone, I leaned back in my chair and took a long, slow breath. My hands were shaking, but I didn't let it show. This wasn't just about a family betrayal anymore. This was about protecting everyone who might be caught in the crossfire of Lucas's criminal empire, and if I could expose him, I could stop it all. I looked at the stack of paperwork in front of me. The bank statements, the contracts, the shell companies. They were all pieces of a puzzle I hadn't even realized I was trying to solve until now. But then, as if on cue, my phone buzzed again. The number wasn't one I recognized. Hesitating for only a moment, I picked up. Hello? The voice on the other end was gravelly, deep, and familiar. Alara, you're in way over your head, Lucas said, his voice low and measured. I suggest you back off before you get in too deep. You don't know who you're dealing with. I froze. The audacity, the nerve, the threat. I knew exactly what he was trying to do. Scare me, intimidate me, make me second-guess everything I'd uncovered. Funny you should say that, I replied, keeping my voice steady, calm, because I was just about to say the same thing to you. There was a long pause, followed by a sigh from Lucas. Listen, Alara, I didn't want it to come to this, but if you keep digging, you'll regret it. I'm warning you. I didn't flinch. You've already crossed a line. I'm not backing down. A low chuckle came from the other end. Then consider this your last warning. And just like that, the call ended. I set the phone down slowly, my hands still trembling, but the feeling wasn't fear. It was something else, something darker, something stronger. It was resolve. Lucas had just threatened me, but in doing so, he had sealed his own fate. Now there was no turning back. This wasn't just about protecting my family anymore. This was about stopping an international criminal organization, and I wasn't going to let my brother or anyone get away with it. I was going to bring him down, and I was going to do it the right way. But first, I needed to get to the truth, the full truth. The house was too quiet when I arrived. The familiar smell of my parents' home, the faint trace of old wood, the scent of coffee from the morning that lingered in the air, hit me like a memory I'd tried to bury. It didn't matter how many years had passed, or how many times I told myself I was done with this place. It always felt like coming home. But today, home felt like a trap. I walked through the front door, my footsteps almost inaudible on the hardwood floor. My parents were in the living room, sitting on the couch, as though they were waiting for me to walk in, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. Alara, my mother said, her voice tight but warm, like she was trying to act like nothing had changed. You're here. We've been waiting for you. I looked at her, at my father sitting beside her, his hands folded neatly in his lap. Neither of them spoke for a moment as if they were gathering their courage. I didn't wait. I couldn't. What's going on? I asked. Why didn't you tell me about the house, about Lucas refinancing it, about everything he's been doing behind my back? My mom shifted uncomfortably, but my dad just sat there, still as a stone. His eyes avoided mine, staring at the floor. We didn't know everything, Alara, my mom finally said, her voice trembling slightly. Lucas has his reasons. It's all for the family. You need to understand. Understand? I interrupted, my voice sharp. You've always let him get away with things. First it's the house, then it's the money, and now, this. Do you have any idea what he's involved in? This isn't just about family anymore. You don't get to hide behind that excuse. Not after everything I've uncovered. My father's eyes flicked to my mother, but he still said nothing. I could feel the tension in the room, thick and suffocating. They knew. They had to. They had to know something about what Lucas was doing, even if they didn't want to face it. I've been going through the records, Dad, I said, staring directly at him. I know about the offshore accounts, the shell companies. Lucas has been laundering money, running illegal operations. And now you, both of you, are involved in it. You've been covering for him. My mother flinched, her hand reaching out to touch my father's arm as though she were looking for reassurance. We didn't know it was that bad, Alara. We thought, no, you didn't want to know, I said, my voice quieter now, but no less forceful. You've been turning a blind eye because it was easier than confronting the truth. You've been letting him do whatever he wants, and now you expect me to just ignore it? You think I'm the one who's wrong? My father finally spoke, his voice low but full of coldness. You've always been so focused on your work, your career. You never had time for the family. You never understood the bigger picture. The bigger picture? I echoed, stunned by the audacity of his words. So what? I should have just let Lucas take everything? I should have let him destroy the one thing I've fought for, the thing I've been trying to protect? My father looked away, his jaw tight. Alara, sometimes you have to pick your battles. You're too involved in your own agenda to see the whole picture. The words hit me like a slap. Pick your battles? My entire life I had fought for them, for this family. I had sacrificed so much, always putting them first. And now they were telling me I wasn't part of the picture, I wasn't enough. I stood there, struggling to keep my emotions in check. You've let Lucas do whatever he wants. You've let him manipulate all of us, and now you want me to just walk away from it? You want me to be the one who keeps quiet? My mother stood, her eyes brimming with tears. You don't understand, Alara. We didn't want this for you. We didn't want you to be part of this. You have your life. You have your career. Lucas needs us. You don't. That was it. The final straw. You don't get it, I said, my voice rising, my words tumbling out before I could stop them. I was there. I've always been there. I paid for this house. I paid for your medical bills, your vacations, the life you've gotten to live. And now you want me to just go away? I'm the one who's been here, making sure you had what you needed. And this is how you repay me? My father stood up suddenly, his face flushed. But he didn't look at me. He couldn't. He couldn't even meet my eyes. Maybe we should have chosen the one who stayed, he muttered, barely audible, as if the words were meant for himself more than anyone else. The one who never left us. My heart stopped. I blinked, not sure if I had heard him correctly. The realization hit me like a thunderclap. He wasn't talking about the money. He wasn't even talking about Lucas. He was talking about me. I wanted to scream, to throw everything I had in my hands, to shake some sense into them. But instead, I stood there in stunned silence, my body rigid. I wanted to say so much, but the words wouldn't come. How had we gotten here? How had everything fallen apart so completely? Finally, I took a step back, the weight of everything sinking in. I don't belong here anymore, I said quietly, almost to myself. I've never belonged here. Not the way you wanted me to. I turned to walk away, but my mother called after me, her voice cracking. Alara, please, you don't mean this. I didn't turn around. Yes, I do. And I walked out, leaving behind a family that had turned its back on me long ago. The house, the years, the sacrifices, everything felt like it had just crumbled to dust. I didn't belong there, not anymore, but the fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The first few days after I walked out of my parents' house were a blur. I didn't go back to work right away. Instead, I threw myself into the investigation. Every hour I spent digging through records, every call I made, every conversation I had with Anna, it brought me closer to the truth and further from the family I had once fought for. Anna came through with the intel I needed. She had reached out to a few of her contacts, digging through Lucas's connections, finding more pieces of the puzzle. Each bit of information I uncovered only confirmed what I feared. Lucas had embedded himself deep in an international criminal network. Arms deals, cybersecurity breaches, money laundering, and the entire operation was run through the shell companies that he had used our family home to cover. I had to do something with the information I had. I wasn't going to sit back anymore, not after what I'd seen. I'd been silent for too long, letting Lucas manipulate everything. It was time to hit back, and I wasn't going to do it alone. This was bigger than me now. This was national security, organized crime, people's lives were at stake. I pulled up the names Anna had given me, old contacts from my time in the military, people I trusted, people who had the skills I didn't have, people who could help me take down Lucas and his operation. The first was Anna herself. She was an NSA agent connected to government agencies and cyber operations. She could help me decrypt the files I had, trace the digital breadcrumbs Lucas had left behind. The second was Miles, a cybersecurity expert. He was someone I'd worked with during some of my military assignments. Miles could help us get into the networks Lucas was using, break past the encryption, and extract more concrete evidence. The third was Cole. He had been in psychological operations during my military days, an expert in manipulating information and handling high-stakes interrogations. He could help me in ways the others couldn't, making sure the evidence we gathered would stand up in court, making sure Lucas would never escape justice. I met them all at a quiet cafe late one afternoon. The place was low-key, with muted lighting and a few patrons scattered around, but it was perfect. No one paid attention to us. And we needed that. We were all in this together, but it wasn't a matter of just getting the job done. It was about protecting ourselves, too. Anna was the first to arrive, slipping into the seat across from me with a tired smile. "You look like you've been burning the midnight oil," she said, her voice casual, but I could tell she was equally on edge. We both knew what was at stake here. "I've been busy," I replied. "Lucas has a bigger network than I thought. He's connected to international criminals, Anna. Arms dealing, cybercrime, money laundering. This is bad." "I know," she sighed. "I'm digging through everything I can find, but these things take time. If we rush it, we'll tip him off. Yeah, we can't make a mistake." I glanced up as Miles walked in. He was tall, wiry, and always looked like he hadn't slept in days. Today was no different. He nodded at both of us, sitting down and pulling out his laptop. "Got your email. This is pretty ugly, Alara." "Tell me about it," I muttered. "I need your help. Lucas has encrypted everything, bank records, company documents, everything. He's hiding in plain sight." "I've got some ideas on that," Miles said, his fingers already tapping away on his laptop. He didn't need to say more. I could see the wheels turning in his mind. Just as I was about to speak again, Cole walked in. His dark eyes scanned the room before he made his way to the table. "I hope we're not being followed," he said, his tone flat, businesslike. "We're clean," Anna assured him, looking around the cafe one last time before focusing back on me. "What's the plan?" I leaned forward, folding my hands. "We're going to expose Lucas. We're going to make sure everything he's done, every single operation, every account, every illegal transaction, comes to light. But we need to be smart about it. We're going up against some dangerous people. If we're not careful, we'll all be targets." Cole didn't flinch. He never did. "It's not just about getting the information. It's about making sure it sticks. Once we go public with this, Lucas won't go down quietly. He'll fight back, and he'll try to take us with him." I nodded. "That's where you come in, Cole. We need to make sure Lucas's reputation is shattered. If we get the public involved, we have the leverage. People like him don't survive when their crimes are exposed." "I've got a team," Cole said. "I'll handle the psychological operations. We'll make sure the evidence hits hard at the right moment." I turned to Miles, who was still typing furiously. "What about the tech side?" "I'll crack the encryption," Miles said confidently. "Lucas is good, but not good enough. I'll get into everything he's hiding. Accounts, communications, the works. Then we'll have everything we need to bury him." "Good." I exhaled, feeling the weight of the plan fall into place. This wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't going to be clean. But I couldn't back down. I couldn't walk away from this, not when I was so close to exposing the truth. The three of them nodded. No more questions, no more doubts. This was happening. "We move tomorrow," I said, a sense of finality in my voice. "We gather everything and we go public. Lucas won't know what hit him." As we all stood to leave, I felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through me. This was it. The moment I had been building toward for weeks. Lucas had hurt my family. He had taken everything from me. But now it was my turn. The war was just beginning, and I wasn't going to lose. The courtroom was packed, more than I had ever expected. It wasn't just a trial. It was a spectacle, one I knew would change everything. I stood at the back of the room for a moment, letting the chaos around me settle in. My family was already seated, their eyes occasionally glancing in my direction, but mostly focused on their lawyer, who looked like a bulldog in a well-tailored suit. Lucas was there too, his face a mask of arrogance. He didn't see me as a threat. He probably thought I was still that naive little sister who would never fight back. I adjusted my jacket, my hands shaking slightly, but I wasn't nervous. Not anymore. This wasn't just about the money or the house. It was about everything. Every lie, every betrayal, every manipulation he had put me and my family through. I had done what I could to prepare for this moment. I'd worked with Anna, Miles, and Cole. We'd traced every account, every piece of evidence, and now we were ready. But the truth wasn't going to be easy to swallow. Lucas had built an empire on lies, on broken trust, on the idea that he could control everything. And I was about to rip that empire apart. The judge entered and the room hushed. I took a seat, my eyes never leaving my brother. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecutor began, his voice steady and authoritative, this case is about more than just financial fraud. It's about trust. It's about family. And it's about the manipulation and betrayal of a sister, a daughter, and an entire community. I took a slow breath. The words hit me harder than I expected. I had spent so many nights feeling angry, feeling helpless, that hearing them spoken aloud in front of a room full of strangers made everything feel more real. It wasn't just my fight anymore. This was public. Everyone was going to know the truth. The prosecutor continued. Lucas Merritt stands accused of defrauding his own family, of siphoning funds through fraudulent companies, laundering money through offshore accounts, and conspiring with international criminals, all while using the name of his sister, Alara Merritt, to cover up his actions. I saw Lucas flinch, just a small movement, but it was enough to send a thrill of satisfaction through me. He wasn't used to being in this position. He wasn't used to being exposed. His lawyer stood, a smirk on his face, as if he already knew how the trial was going to go. Your Honor, my client maintains that these accusations are unfounded. This is nothing more than a smear campaign led by a disgruntled family member looking to ruin his reputation. Lucas's lawyer glanced at me briefly, as if I was an inconvenience, a mere bump in his perfect case. But I was used to that. He had no idea what was coming. The prosecutor turned to me and gestured for me to take the stand. The moment I stood up, I felt the eyes of the courtroom on me. The weight of it could have crushed me, but I didn't let it. I had come too far. I took the witness stand, my voice steady as I faced the jury. My name is Alara Merritt, I said, the words carrying through the room. I am Lucas's sister, and I have spent the last several months investigating my own family's betrayal. The room was deathly silent. I could feel Lucas's gaze on me, his eyes burning with fury, but I didn't look at him. This wasn't about him. This was about me, about us. I found out that my brother had been using my name to run illegal schemes, I continued. He set up fake companies, took out loans in my name, and funneled money into those accounts. And he wasn't just using me to hide his activities. He was using my family to cover his tracks. I paused, letting my words sink in. But that wasn't enough for him. No, he didn't stop there. He refinanced our family's home without my consent, used it as collateral for loans he never planned to repay. And all the while, he had our parents, believing that this was all part of some big business opportunity. He convinced them that everything was fine. I saw a few of the jurors glance at each other, their expressions shifting. It was working. I was getting through. I turned slightly, addressing Lucas directly for the first time in hours. His face was a mask of anger, but I saw the cracks begin to form. You've lied, Lucas. You've lied to me, to our parents, to everyone who trusted you. And it's time for the truth to come out. His lawyer stood up quickly. Objection, Your Honor. This is emotional testimony not relevant to the case at hand. The judge looked down at his notes before glancing at me. Sustained. Let's stick to the facts, Miss Merritt. I nodded, a sharp breath escaping my lips. Of course, the facts are simple. I have evidence. I looked back at the prosecutor. Can we present the documents? The prosecutor stepped forward, a folder in his hand. We'd like to present Exhibits A through G, Your Honor, he said, handing the stack of papers to the judge. The documents hit the table with a dull thud. They were my trump card. The financial records, the bank statements, the offshore accounts, the company registration details, all the proof that Lucas's operation had been running for years, hidden under the guise of business. All of it was about to be exposed. The judge glanced through the papers, then nodded. The court will accept these into evidence. I saw Lucas's jaw tighten as the first of the documents were projected on the screen behind me. The jury stared at the screen, their faces unreadable. I knew they were processing everything. This wasn't just a few bad decisions or misguided business moves. This was a criminal empire, but we weren't done, not by a long shot. The prosecutor turned to me. Alara, you've been through a lot, but this isn't just about your family's trust being broken, is it? I shook my head, my throat tight. No, it's about the people he's hurt, the people who didn't even know they were being used. And if I don't stop him, he's going to keep going. He's going to ruin more lives. The room was silent for a moment as the gravity of my words settled in. It wasn't just about Lucas. It was about everything he represented. The lies, the manipulation, the corruption. And it was all out in the open now. I've spent my whole life fighting for my family, I said, my voice quiet but strong. But this time I'm fighting for something more. I'm fighting for the truth. I looked over at the jury, their eyes locked on mine. And I'm not going to stop until I've exposed everything. I'm not backing down, not anymore. The judge leaned forward, his gaze sharp. Thank you, Miss Merritt. The court will take a short recess. As I walked back to my seat, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel relieved. I felt ready. Ready to see this through. Ready to finish what I had started. And as Lucas turned to face me, his eyes burning with anger, I knew one thing for sure. This fight wasn't over. Not yet. But I was closer than I had ever been, and I wasn't backing down. The trial had taken a toll on me. It wasn't just the emotional weight of confronting my family, of laying everything bare for the world to see. It was the aftermath, the endless phone calls, the messages, the glares from people I used to call family. They all came rushing at me the moment the courtroom doors closed behind me. The public's reaction was divided. Some hailed me as a hero for standing up to my brother, for exposing his web of lies and manipulation. Others saw me as a villain, someone who destroyed her own family for the sake of vengeance. The media had a field day, of course. Every outlet had their spin on it, but the truth was, I didn't care about their opinions. Not anymore. But the silence in my apartment was deafening. I hadn't expected it to be so lonely, so isolating. It felt like the world had moved on, leaving me behind in the wake of my own decisions. I had done what I had to do. I had fought for justice. I had exposed the truth, but in the process, I had lost my family. Or rather, they had lost me. The phone calls started that afternoon. My mom first. It was no surprise. She always had a way of calling when she knew I was vulnerable. Alara! Her voice was frantic. What did you do? You've destroyed everything. We're all on the brink of losing everything, and now this lawsuit? This chaos? I sat down on my couch, holding the phone to my ear, trying to calm the pounding in my head. I didn't destroy anything, Mom. Lucas did this. He brought all of this on himself. There was a pause on the other end, and then her voice came, weak and filled with guilt. I don't know who to believe anymore, Alara. Your father can't sleep. He's been pacing the house for days. We're scared, honey. I closed my eyes, pressing the heel of my palm to my forehead. You should have been scared when Lucas started stealing from us, when he manipulated all of you, but you didn't listen to me then. Why should I listen to you now? But he's our son, she whispered. He's still family. Not anymore, Mom, I said softly, but with finality. Not for me. The silence between us stretched. You've broken my heart, she said, her voice trembling. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix us. I exhaled, feeling the heaviness in my chest. I don't know how either, but this was the only way. I can't keep pretending that everything's okay when it's not. Not after what Lucas has done. I'll talk to your father, she said, her voice distant. I knew she wasn't hearing me. She wasn't understanding. We'll try to figure something out. You don't have to do this alone, Alara. I've already been alone, I said, and with that I hung up. I sat there, the room cold around me, and didn't move for what felt like an eternity. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at her, not at anyone. But the emptiness that flooded me in that moment, that was the part I couldn't shake. The messages from my sister and father came next. They followed the same pattern: guilt, anger, frustration. They begged for me to call, to explain myself, to somehow undo what had already been done. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. There was nothing left to explain, nothing to fix. For the first time in my life, I was choosing me over them. I had to. And the weight of it wasn't something I could talk away, no matter how many apologies they threw at me. But just as I was about to close the door on the constant barrage of their voices, a letter arrived. It was from a family I didn't know well, but who had been impacted by what Lucas had done. They were clients of his shell companies, ones who'd been defrauded and had nearly lost everything because of him. I opened it cautiously, my hands shaking as I read the contents. Dear Miss Merritt, I'm writing to you because of the actions you took during your trial. I'm not sure if you know the full extent of what Lucas Merritt has done to us, but I wanted to share something with you. Your exposure of his crimes didn't just help us, it saved our family from losing everything. We were one of the victims, and after seeing how far you were willing to go to bring the truth to light, we knew we had to reach out. Your courage has given us the strength to file a lawsuit of our own. We're not just suing for restitution, we're suing for justice, and we owe it all to you. Thank you, Alara, from the bottom of our hearts. You've given us back our dignity. Tears welled in my eyes as I read those words. I didn't expect to feel this way. I didn't expect to feel anything other than anger and loss. But now, with this letter in my hands, something inside me shifted. I had done the right thing. I had made the right choice. I'd lost my family, yes, but I had saved someone else's. The letter didn't erase the pain, but it gave me a glimmer of hope. There was more to this than the destruction Lucas had caused. There was more to this than the broken relationships and the tarnished trust. I wasn't done yet. This wasn't the end of the fight. It was just the beginning. The trial, the betrayal, the pain, it was all part of the story. But now I had a purpose, a real one. To help people who had been hurt by Lucas, to stop him from continuing his path of destruction. This wasn't about family anymore. It was about justice. The journey ahead would be long. It would be hard, but it was mine. And for the first time, I felt like I was moving forward. The sun was setting as I stood at the edge of the lake, the water still and calm beneath the fading orange light. I hadn't come here for peace, not at first. I had just needed somewhere to go, somewhere to think. The stillness of the place, the quiet of the trees surrounding me, the sound of water lapping gently at the shore had a way of slowing the chaos in my mind. I closed my eyes and let the cool breeze wash over me, trying to let it carry away the last remnants of the weight I had been carrying for months. The family, the lies, the betrayal, and ultimately, the loss. It was strange. I had spent so long trying to fix things, to make them right for everyone else, and in the end, it was me who had been left behind. The choices I had made, the path I had chosen, it wasn't one I had wanted, but it was the one that had saved me. It was the one that had freed me from the toxicity of my family and from the suffocating grip of guilt. In the quiet of the evening, I reflected on everything that had happened, everything I had gone through to get to this point. The trial had been a turning point, yes, but it was the aftermath. The moments like this, standing alone by the water, that made me realize what I had really gained. I wasn't just fighting for justice anymore. I was fighting for myself. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind. I had gotten calls, messages, emails from people who had been impacted by Lucas's schemes, families who were in debt, businesses that had been ruined. I had connected with some of them, helping them take legal action, providing the evidence they needed to fight back. It wasn't just about exposing Lucas anymore. It was about making sure his actions didn't go unpunished, making sure those who had been hurt could rebuild. And in the quiet moments, when I wasn't lost in the hustle of investigations and meetings, I allowed myself to feel the smallest flicker of pride. I had turned the pain into something productive, something meaningful. But it wasn't just the work that had changed me. It was the space I'd created in my life, the room I had made for myself, the ability to finally breathe. As I stood there looking out at the water, I realized how much I had fought for this moment, the moment where I could just be, not a daughter, not a sister, not a fixer, just me, the woman who had survived it all. And then, in the stillness of the night, I allowed myself to smile. It was a quiet victory, but a victory nonetheless. I had faced my demons, and I had won. I wasn't done yet. I had more work to do, more people to help, and there was still a lot of healing to do. But for the first time in a long time, I knew I was on the right path. The stars had begun to appear in the sky, dotting the darkness above, and I took a deep breath, letting the cool night air fill my lungs. Whatever came next, I was ready for it. Because for the first time, I wasn't running from my past. I was walking toward my future, and I was going to make sure it was mine, all mine, to shape.